I still remember the laughter, sharp and cutting, like shards of glass embedded in my heart. I was 15, standing in the living room of our small house, clutching my sketchbook filled with dreams and messy ink. I had just told my family that I wanted to be an artist. The moment those words escaped my lips, the air turned electric, heavy with disbelief. An artist? You? That's ridiculous! My father bellowed, his voice booming through the walls. My mother's face twisted in a mixture of pity and disdain, her silence screaming louder than any words could. My brother, the golden child with his straight-A grades and athletic trophies, sneered derisively. "Why don't you just get a real job?" he sneered, crumpling one of my sketches and tossing it into the trash. Each chuckle, each dismissive glance felt like a nail hammered into my aspirations, sealing them away in a coffin of embarrassment. I wanted to fight back, to scream that I would prove them wrong, that my dreams were valid, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I retreated into myself, the weight of their expectations suffocating me. That night, I made a decision. I would leave this house, this stifling atmosphere where dreams were crushed beneath the weight of practicality. I packed my bag, took a deep breath, and stepped into the unknown. I was determined to forge my own path, to become the artist I longed to be, even if it meant starting from the ground up. The years that followed were a relentless grind. I found myself in a crumbling studio apartment, surrounded by half-finished canvases and empty takeout boxes. Days turned into nights as I poured my heart into my art. There were moments of despair, when my hands trembled, not just from exhaustion, but from doubt. I had to work multiple jobs, waitressing, cleaning, anything that paid the bills, while my dreams shifted in and out of focus like the flickering light of a dying bulb. But with each stroke of paint, each late-night brainstorming session for exhibitions, I found a flicker of hope. I developed a gritty determination, a refusal to let their laughter define me. I entered local art shows, sometimes receiving rejection letters that felt like daggers. But I learned to wear those wounds like badges of honor. Slowly, the tides began to turn. A local gallery finally took a chance on me, and my work, vivid, chaotic, a reflection of my journey, began to resonate. I poured my soul into every piece, and to my astonishment, people started to notice. The laughter faded into whispers of admiration. I became a part of the art community, gaining traction, recognition, and even a few awards. Years passed, and I found myself standing in a bustling gallery, my first solo exhibition underway. The walls were adorned with my artwork, vibrant and alive, each piece a testament to my struggles and triumphs. I was no longer the shy kid hiding in the shadows. I was a force to be reckoned with, a name whispered in circles once closed to me. And yet, despite my success, a part of me ached for my family's approval. I had climbed mountains of doubt, but I still felt that void, that longing for acceptance. So I decided to return home, to confront the very people who once mocked my dreams. As I drove through the familiar streets of my childhood, my heart raced. Would they still laugh? Would they scoff at what I had become? I parked in front of my childhood home, the same house that had once felt like a prison, and took a moment to steady my hands. When I stepped inside, the air felt thick with nostalgia. My parents were in the living room, their faces aging yet familiar. My brother was there too, his presence still a reminder of the past. They looked up, and for a moment, silence enveloped the room. Then I took a deep breath and pulled out my phone, scrolling to the gallery's website, revealing images of my artwork. "I wanted to show you something," I said, my voice steady, yet laced with an underlying tremor. Their expressions morphed as they clicked through the images. I watched as my father's brows furrowed, his mouth closing tightly, and my mother's eyes widened in disbelief. My brother shifted uncomfortably, the arrogance that once defined him wavering. "This is impressive," my father finally said, the words tasting foreign on his tongue. I could see the gears turning in his mind, the realization that the child he had dismissed was now a respected artist. My mother, her eyes glistening, whispered, "I didn't know you could do all this." There was a softness to her voice, a hint of pride I had longed to hear, but it was my brother's reaction that struck me the hardest. He looked at my work, then back at me, his bravado crumbling. "Damn, you really did it," he murmured, almost to himself. In that moment, I felt the weight of years of rejection begin to lift. It wasn't just about proving them wrong anymore. It was about showing them that dreams, no matter how ridiculous, were worth pursuing. As I left that evening, I felt a peace settle within me. I had carved my own path and embraced the artist I was always meant to be. And while acceptance from my family was a beautiful gift, the real triumph lay in the journey I had forged on my own. An artist, unapologetic and unyielding, finally returning home.